What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today, we're going to be talking about theory crafting in Epic 7, and hopefully after this video, you're much better theory crafters and can come up with some amazing teams that I or anyone else could have ever dreamed of. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord. Thank you guys so much for all the support. We were able to do the first ever Kings Cup, and I hope to host more in the future, hopefully with some prizes. And to do that, I do need your support. So make sure you subscribe, watch the videos, and join the Discord to be updated with all that stuff. Another channel update that I have to tell you guys, I'm a little disappointed in myself, but I won't be able to meet one of the deadlines I set on myself, which is to get the Ravi guide out for you guys by this weekend. I realized that this weekend is actually my birthday, and there's a lot of things that are already planned that my friends have planned for me. So I will not be able to put out that Ravi guide for you guys, but I promise it is in the works. It is going to be coming your way. But right, enough about the channel. Let's actually get right into it. So theory crafting in Epic 7. So first background, and then we'll actually start getting into the tool set. So one of the things I see them a lot in my videos, in the comments, in the descriptions, in Reddits and different posts is, how do I build this unit? What unit should I build? How can I clear this content? How can I do this? How to build XYZ, right? So while I will always answer those questions, and I'll always gladly answer those questions, and someone will always answer those questions for you in the Discord and all these different posts, it is still important that you yourself have your own tool set for theory crafting, so that you can, instead of just relying on people's advice that may not always work, because I definitely have taken some advice that didn't work for me, but actually be able to take the advice, analyze it, see if it works, and then actually carry it out. And that way you don't waste resources, you don't waste units, you don't do things that you will regret later, and then you're able to build really, really good teams. So that's why you need your own tool set. So as far as theory crafting goes, there's two things that you need to have done that you need to do for theory crafting. First, there's a preparation aspect of it, which comes with a lot of understanding the mechanics of what you're trying to clear and understanding the bosses and the units that you're going to use. And the second one is actually testing / playing scenarios in your head of how different units will actually work for the content. So first, let's go over preparation, because preparation is key and knowledge is power. Those are the two most important things. So first most important thing is, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to prepare for? A lot of people are just like, give a random and like a overall question like, what unit should I build? And one of those things, it's like everyone can always tell you different things, but if you say what unit should I build, you're asking the wrong question. Why do I say that? Because that means you haven't really decided what you want to build, and then you're going to build so many different things and waste so many different resources and not get a lot done. So first, what are you trying to clear? There has to be a specifics to that. And I know there's a lot of people that ask, what unit should I build? And they don't say what content. So this is important for asking questions as well. What content are you trying to build? So for this example, I'm going to be using Wyvern, and then later I'm going to be using PvP, because there's also some PvP aspect of it, because it can be, what team can I use to beat this? What unit can I build to beat this? And then afterwards to be like, how do I build them, right? So first, what are you trying to clear? That's where the preparation comes in. So let's say it's Wyvern 13. So now the question becomes, I want to clear Wyvern 13. What does that entail? That's the next step of preparation, is understanding what you're trying to do. Because I can come in here and slap on some water units and I'm going to get destroyed, right? So I have to have a game plan. And to have a game plan, I have to understand how the boss mechanics work. As you guys know, Wyvern has very specific requirements, but that doesn't mean that you're locked in to just using water. Like for example, water does do more damage, water does take less damage. Not having water units does give in combat readiness, and the other thing is that you do need to have debuffs, right? So those are basic requirements of Wyvern. That ice does more damage, takes less, has to have at least 2 debuffs so he doesn't attack anyone, has to have at least 3 debuffs if you don't want him doing high amount of damage. So debuffs already kind of telling you need to have debuffs, right? So you need to have a water unit that can apply debuffs. I can go over millions of units that can do this, right? Karen does this, Furious does this, Terran Norgard does this, Alexa, Sigrid, Seaside, Dizzy, and there's so many more units that can do this. And that's where the theory crafting starts coming in, because assuming you don't know anything, you already have this arsenal of tools you can do. The other thing that comes is the tank, right? So let's say, I'm just going to do a really quick example in preparation. Actually, I'll save that for testing. So we'll go back to the example later. So that's key, right? Understanding the boss mechanics. Me knowing that I need to have debuffs, me knowing that I need to have high damage, and me knowing that I need someone to be at the front line that can actually tank these hits. already tell me so much. I could, with just this information, as a late game player, you will be able to build a team on your own. And that's why late game players are so good at theory crafting, is because they have a lot more knowledge on the game. So that's why for early game players, understanding is key. Now let's look at another example that I know a lot of people will struggle with, and I struggled for the longest time. But stage 90 of Abyss. Now, this is a stage that a lot of people still struggle with, and I struggled for a very long time as well. But one thing that I want to point for this stage is that understanding the boss mechanics on this stage is key. Because there's a really cheese unit that sadly is a limited unit, but just to give you guys an example. So for this stage in Abyss, the final boss, what it basically says, in case you're not here or you don't know about it, what the boss basically says is that if you put a debuff on the boss will get 50% combat readiness with every turn that one of your team passes. And the boss will absolutely destroy your team, right? It will kill you if you put a debuff on him and you're not prepared, right? But what people don't know is that Cerise applies the restrict debuff, and it actually works on this boss, and it makes this boss a piece of cake. If you have a Cerise build, you apply restrict on the boss, you can put whatever debuffs you want on the boss. Attack down, poison, dots, and just stack them up and kill the boss. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Stage 90 is a joke, right? But that you would never have known that unless I told you. Same thing with the Leo stage. The Leo stage, if you have a unit that gives invincibility, you can completely get rid of the bomb. You get rid of that, boom, that debuff is gone. Easy peasy lemon squeezy stage. This stage, I slapped on my level 50 Elena, I gave her some sample gear, passed it like boom, first try. Because I knew about the glitch. I did my research before. So again, preparation is key. Understanding boss mechanics, how things work. Now let's look at the PvP. I know I'm spending a lot of time on preparation, but it's just to show you guys that it's so important, and people just completely skip the stage and just want to go straight into building units. And it's such a detriment to everyone if you're doing that. So now for teams, right? This is champion level. And I can tell you right now, for this whole list, I can easily clear a majority of them. The only one I probably can't clear is the last one. And I already know that from looking at it. But I already know I can probably theory craft a team to beat it. So let's look at example at this team, because I know this team does show up, especially like in Challenger, right? So you see a lot of tanks, right? Maybe a Royal Light. And then you see like either a Rylet or an Arbiter Vildred. And then right off the bat, you're probably like, oh, that's insta-skip for me. But what if I told you those tank teams are actually like easy mode, are actually easy money? Why? Especially when they rely on Arbiter Vildred and Royal Light. Why do I say they're easy, right? Is it because I have Singelica? No. Is it because I have an Extinction unit? No. You know why? It's because I understand how this team works. I understand how the damage and where the damage will come from. Arbiter Vildred. This tank is all tanks and one damage dealer. The other thing, this team has no strips. I can slap out a Crimson Armament and a Caesar Bellona, no extension units needed. And this team is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like, free. You know? So it's like understanding the mechanics of what you're trying to do. So if you're struggling against these type of tank teams, that it's one damage dealer and a bunch of tanks, really look into how they work, and you'll start seeing there's a lot of different units that work. Let's say you don't have Crimson Armament. Let's say you don't have Elena. You don't have any invincibility unit, right? You have no Extinction unit, no Singelica, unbeatable team, right? No. Why? I actually used to kill this team so easily, and I still probably can if I just upgraded my gear a little bit, with a Basar, Challenger Dami, and a Tywin, Bloodlake Karen. Why? Basar, strip everyone, push everyone back 30%, guarantee my Challenger Dami the turn. Challenger Domi pokes the Royal Light. Tywin comes in, lands decreased defense, maybe doesn't land it in the Royal, but then BBK comes, kills the whole team, and then kills the Royal Light. GG, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There's so many different teams that can kill this team. You can Bruiser them out. You can just, again, if you have Singelica, then it's like even easier. And there's a bunch of teams with Singelica. And we'll talk about that later in the testing section. So again, preparation is key. Understanding is key. That's the biggest thing. And I feel like a lot of people are skipping that step, that understanding step. Like even with this team, like, what are you afraid on this team? Okay, Daisy does debuffs. Okay, just put someone that can cleanse, like a Ray. Arbiter Vildred does a lot of damage. Ray can survive it and then can heal your whole team. Bruiser them out, you win. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You know, like there's so many things you can do to kill these type of teams. Sorry, I talked a lot about preparation. Hopefully, I've beaten it over your head that understanding is key to theory crafting. If you don't understand how units work, if you don't understand how teams work, if you don't understand how mechanics in the game work, you are going to struggle theory crafting different teams to beat those type of teams, right? Because you don't understand the mechanics, right? So now let's actually start getting to some unit builds. So let's say you've pinpointed the problem, you know a potential unit, how do you build them? How do you do it properly? How do you build the team? So for the team, I'm actually going to go to the Wyvern aspect of it for my Wyvern team, which is Karen, Seaside, like it's right there. You can guys see it. It's Angelica, Seaside, Karen, and Sigrid. So again, first, meet the requirements. I feel like I said this in a bunch of videos, but I'll do it again, just a quick rundown on my Wyvern team. But it's just meeting the circumstances. So first, we talked about a tank, right? So I personally picked Angelica because I know Angelica has very high base stats. It's easy to build. You can just slap on a bunch of stuff, and she also heals herself. So it's really nice. And look, her gear's not great, and I can clear Wyvern 13 because I understand the boss mechanics. She meets the requirements, and I did test her. So she has enough HP. She has idle shear. So right. So when I was testing, I realized she was dying a lot. She wasn't being able to heal enough. It wasn't because she wasn't fast enough. It was because she couldn't heal enough. So what did I do? On my Seaside, she's a ranger. I have access to Bloodstone. I can just help her heal. And after doing this change, a lot easier. Seaside also meets a lot of the requirements for the team. So here I'm fixing the team, but different units. Then I found my Sigrid and I built my Sigrid. This one can be anything. It can be Alexa. It can be any damage dealer, right? She's there for the damage dealing and for the debuffs. Alexa easily fills this role. People think that you have to have a Sigrid to clear Wyvern. No, you can easily use Alexa. People think you have to have full 90 gear. You have to be like super strong, super late game to clear Wyvern. No, it is actually a very easy boss. You guys are seeing these stats, right? You guys are seeing my Angelica. She's using mostly free gear. None of it is level 85. None of it is level 90. My Seaside Bellona. None of it is level 90. Most of it is free gear. Some of it is level 70. Karen? All of it is level 85, except like the sword. Look at that. It's 75. Torn Sleeve is an artifact, but I put this on her because it's another debuff, and I didn't want to build Furies. And people say, just build Furies, right? But that didn't work for me. And I already had Karen built, so I just made Karen work. Why? Because I knew this artifact lets me apply debuffs to the Wyvern, which helps me meet the requirement, and I can have a more reliable decreased defensor with Karen as well. So it's just more safety. So that was me taking all that preparation and putting it into the units. And how can you do this as for yourself? You don't have to use Angelica as a tank. She's the easiest to build, but you can also use Purgus. And then your requirements become a little bit different, right? Let's say you decide to use Purgus. Okay, now you need to know that if Purgus takes a turn, Wyvern's taking a turn. But you can now with Purgus, you can push up your team with the passive. So this means Wyvern attacks them 3 times. That's 54% combat readiness. That means your speed requirement on all your other units drops. So you can put way stronger gear on them and clear the Wyvern in 3 turns. Which is why he is so good. Even though he doesn't fit the water criteria. Because he just tanks so freaking hard and pushes the team up so much. You can actually use him as a Wyvern tank even though he's not water. So that's where like you have to start using what you know about the game. So General Purgus counters the Wyvern mechanic. So again, spending a little too much on time on Wyvern, but it works, and it's a way. That's how you build teams, is see how do you meet the requirements and how can you do. So now let's go to one that's a little bit more off the beaten path, which is going to be how do I build a unit. And this is gonna put everything together, both the preparation and the team building aspect of it. So this is the final example that I'll give you guys with from the testing and putting everything together, concepts together. So let's say arena defense. So you know for arena defense right now, you are getting destroyed by Judge Kise. You are getting destroyed by Arbiter Vildreds, right? So you're getting cleaved left and right. So you already know you have a T-Surin built. You have a T-Surin sitting on the corner, and you're like, okay, let's say my buddy tells me T-Surin can counter, right? So and then you're like, okay, you're decided on T-Surin, right? You made the preparation for it. You already know you want to use T-Surin. You know that she will work because people have told you. So now let's take the theory crafting aspect of it and let's start building a team for T-Surin and a build for T-Surin. So now, okay, so you pinpointed T-Surin. So how did you pinpoint T-Surin? You looked at her passive. So you saw this passive, you saw she can't get killed, And then she can cut in because she gets stealth, dispels debuffs, and can take it. Basically, takes an extra turn because of the extra 30%, right? So you're like, okay, you understand that she's a good anti-cleave because she can do that. What you may not know, and maybe you're starting to think, it's like, okay, how can I abuse this more? Let's say I don't have the gear to make my T-Siren 200 plus speed, right? But I still want to use a lifesteal set on her because I want her to be able to survive. So this is where a lot of things happen. So this is where the first build path, right? So let's say between speed and lifesteal, you're trying to decide which one you want. If you want speed, that means that you want T-Siren to be basically standalone, and you want her to be able to cut in with no help, and then have someone that can protect her enough that she can abuse this combat readiness passive, so she can just overwhelm your opponent with taking turns, because every time they take a turn, they have to waste it attacking T-Siren, and then she's going to take a turn, and maybe you have a Fallen Cecilia that can protect her. So let's say you decide speed. On the other hand, let's say you know you have a lot of defensive units and you know you can make a very nasty tank team that you can give a barrier to T-Siren and make her survive. So now you're like, okay, lifesteal is for me, but let's say you don't have enough to push her up in the lifesteal build, right? So you're like, I really want to use lifesteal. I have this amazing set for her, right? Let's commit to lifesteal. I have this amazing set on her. But she's still getting outsped by the Challenger Dami or she's still getting outsped by the Bazaar because Bazaar pushes back 30%. So that's not enough, right? And it's lifesteal, so she can't cut in. How can you fix this? Well, let me think. Can I put another unit that when they do an AoE pushes me up? So that gives you two different things. General Purgus, great option with T-Siren. General Purgus, okay. With General Purgus, if they do an AoE, not only am I getting the passive from her passive, the 30%, I'm also now getting 18% from General Purgus. So now if a Bazaar decides to push me back, I get to cleanse the Bazaar, get 30%, and now 18%. That's enough to cut into the team. That's enough to get me the win for my defense. Boom. There we go. Best scenario, right? Let's say you don't have a General Purgus, which a lot of people probably don't. Idol's Cheer does the exact same job. Idol's Cheer lets her take an extra turn because Idol's Cheer, when they do an AoE, Idol's Cheer will proc. She will have to have the highest attack. Then she gets the turn. Boom. There we go. More theory crafting. Now we know we can either use G Purgus or Idol's Cheer. Let's say we end up using Idol's Cheer because I got a bunch of amazing units. Now, let's say I want to abuse T-Siren's mechanic that I know she has because I made the preparation before. I want to abuse the mechanic of her 51% health because this does not include barrier, right? So we know this because we did the preparation, which means that if I somehow am able to get T-Siren a barrier every single turn, then I can make it so she can survive longer, and this can help both the speed and the lifesteal build, right? So let's say I have a Fallen CC, then it's easy peasy. Slap on your Fallen CC. Let's say I don't have Fallen CC. You know who else has barriers in this game? Arrowell. I know she's a 3-star, but she can definitely still make Tempest Siren abuse that mechanic. So she still gets the job done. She's still going to help you be able to give extra Tempest Siren an extra life, an extra turn of living. Let's say you don't want to build Arrowell. That's too free to play for me. Let's say I got the artifacts in the game. They just released CC's artifact that gives a barrier. So you can have a fucking Clear Ego first now and give the T-Siren a barrier, and then boom, there we go, a barrier. Or there's another thing you can do. A Soul Weaver, Roana. Let's say you have Roana, right? Roana can hold an Idol's Cheer, and then you can build your Roana to be on counter set. So when they do a cleave, your Roana counterattacks, gives a shield to your Tempest Siren, and now you give her an extra chance to live. Like, look at that. Boom. Now let's say you decide to go speed build and you need more survivability because she can't lifesteal on her own. Slap a touch of Rekos on another Soul Weaver, like maybe Royal Light. So now when they do AoE, they hit the Roana that pushes, or whatever Soul Weaver you decide to use, procs Idol's Cheer, pushes T-Siren up, T-Siren gets her combat readiness, and then touch a Rekos procs and gives the T-Siren some extra health. Boom. There we go. Theory crafting 101. We already got everything we need to make a nasty T-Siren comp. So that's the type of thought that you have to put when you decide to do something. So again, this example was perfect because it showed preparation. You knew what content you wanted to clear. You want a better arena defense against cleave. You knew that, so you have something to work towards. Then you did the understanding of Tsuren, knowing that this passive can abuse barriers, knowing that this passive can cut into cleaves, right? So there we did the research behind it. Now we just have to fill in the holes with the team and the build to decide what we want. We know that barriers are good, so any unit that can give us barriers, any unit that can hold Idol's Cheer is good for Tsuren. So there we go. Theory Crafting 101. So I just show you an example with a very hard to build unit with a lot of different paths. So I really hope this guide helps you. I really hope you guys can come up with some amazing teams that I would never have thought of, and you can take all this information and be better players. But that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.